Hi, my name is Mark Monlux. I'm a freelance illustrator, and I often give my friend Daniel Abraham a call when I have legal questions.
My name is Daniel Abraham, and I am a former freelance illustrator, currently an attorney representing many freelance illustrators, and I like to talk over issues with Mark Monlux.
Today, we're going to be talking about contract negotiation. But first, a disclaimer. Please read this at your own speed. One of the problems we have that a lot of artists do, it's a typical mistake that they do, is they want to be fair to the client. And so to do that, they start negotiating on the client's behalf. And this is just not an artist's jobs to do. Daniel, can you go into some more detail on this?
Well, it starts, I think, when the client, I'm sure you've had a number of these, Mark, the I just want client. I just want this. I just want that. When you start a negotiation with that, actually when the client starts a negotiation with that, what are they doing? They're putting down the value of what you're doing. They're trying to make it seem like what they want you to do that they can't do for themselves is of no consequence. And they're trying to get you to do exactly what you said. Start negotiating on that client, on the client's behalf, because you want to be fair. It's just a small thing. I mean, have you got an experience of this sort that you'd care to share with us?
I have many experiences of that nature. And I used to go along with it. I used to try to figure out what would be the best license for the client based on that. But what I learned after a series of years was the client never tells you anything, and they don't want to learn about licensing until they have to learn about licensing. So instead of negotiating on behalf of the client, I went the opposite direction, and now I negotiate on my behalf. And my starting point is, what's the right licensing? My question is full rights buyout. So I start my negotiation tactic there, which starts at a high level. And then from there, when I start talking about, the client goes, oh my God, that's way more than I anticipated. I only had a slush fund in mind for this project. Then which I call the magic wand fee, it's usually somewhere between $500 and $800, something they have kicking around in an office drawer, and they think they can get a brochure or a logo or both of those things done for that amount of money. But the moment you give them the full rights buyout, and then say, and explain to them, hey, that's the farm. What you might want is a glass of milk. Let's talk about licensing and where your immediate needs truly are. And that has worked so much more better for me in the long run.
In other words, you start high and then let them beg you down, right?
There we go. Rather than me trying to figure out starting small and then learning that their needs are getting greater and trying to increase the price tag after the fact.
That makes a great deal of sense. Bob Zimmerman, who runs the Droger website, who was a hot illustrator in New York until he hurt his drawing hand and then started doing the Droger website, was talking with me a while back, and he said, always make the client reach for you, because the client always values something that the client has to actually reach for instead of something that they get at a bargain basement price. They feel like they've won something, that they've gotten something really great at a bargain basement rate, instead of them getting something that you offer at a bargain basement rate, which they do not value.
Exactly so. And there's ways of negotiating aside from cost. Like, I often negotiate my work level down. I have streamlined my process so much that I do little or no revisions anymore.
Really?
Oh yeah, because in my contract I put down the number of thumbnails, the number of comps, the number of types, and the number of revisions on each of those stages, including the final. And if the client goes over that, then they pay an additional hourly rate on top of that. I have had very few clients go over it because they realize it's going to cost them money.
Well, it's an important thing to remember always in negotiation. You can always lower a high price. You can never raise a low one.
So this has been our first discussion on contract negotiation. We're going to follow this up with another episode on contract negotiation in which we discuss the power word. I'll talk to you then, Daniel.
Look forward to it.